Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into a story that honestly just completely flips the script on your typical fantasy adventure. We're going to track this explosive, totally chronological journey that somehow perfectly blends intense emotional trauma with, incredible, overpowered magical action. It's wild.
Now, the big question right off the bat, what happens when a desperate slave is bought by a traumatized single mother to be her husband? Can two deeply broken people, completely stripped of their agency and honestly just abused by a brutal fantasy world, somehow forge a loving family together? Well, let's find out.
All right, Section 1, From Earth to Enslavement.
So our story kicks off with Jui Wan. He's this incredibly lonely guy whose life on Earth was pretty much defined by tragedy after losing his parents in a crash on Christmas Eve. But everything changes when this bizarre encounter with a, frankly, very creepy Santa just rips him right out of modern-day Earth. He makes a simple wish for a happy family, right? But he opens his eyes to find himself freezing cold and locked in heavy iron shackles. I mean, this creepy Santa literally stole Truck Kun's job, dumping our guys straight into a miserable slave caravan in some brutal medieval world.
Just imagine days of absolute starvation, getting paraded around and rejected over and over at the auction block. It's awful. Jui Wan basically loses all hope and is literally ready to just end his own life. But right at that absolute lowest point, rock bottom, an absolute angel of a woman named Liz steps in and stops him. She offers him a single life-saving piece of bread. And man, he is just instantly captivated by her kindness and, by the sight of her cute little daughter hiding right behind her.
Moving on to Section 2, A New Found Family.
So right after she offers him that bread, the village chief actually orchestrates this sudden, totally forceful marriage between them. And the contrast here is just wild. Liz is absolutely terrified. Her previous husband was a literal monster, and because of her past, she fully expects this towering giant of a man to be just as cruel, expecting beatings and abuse. But Jui Wan, he proves to be a total gentle giant. Seeing Liz and her deeply malnourished daughter struggling, he doesn't bark orders, he simply picks them both up and safely, protectively carries them all the way up a steep mountain to their new cabin.
But when they finally arrive, it's a disaster. The cabin is completely robbed and ruined. Liz just breaks down in hopeless tears. But this is where Jui Wan really steps up. They don't even share a language, but he consoles her through action. He gives the little girl a beautiful name, Dorothy, after his favorite childhood story, The Wizard of Oz. And in that really touching moment, he silently vows to be the absolute best father and husband. He decides he's going to be the ultimate protector for this newfound family.
Which brings us to Section 3, Magic, Wolves, and Survival.
Now, obviously, survival in this brutal world takes a lot more than just good intentions. Wandering deep into the freezing woods to find some firewood, Jui Wan gets ambushed. A massive, truly menacing wolf lunges straight for his throat. Armed with literally nothing but a stick, Jui Wan manages to block the attack. But the beast just snaps the wood in half and sinks its razor-sharp teeth right into his wrist.
But wait for it. Instead of bleeding out, something absolutely incredible happens. Literal magical flames erupt straight out of his flesh. The fire instantly heals his wound. Realizing his strikes now actually carry the power of fire, Jui Wan unleashes a brutal, fiery beatdown on this monster. He even tries shouting fireball afterward, realizing he somehow possesses this incredibly rare, totally overpowered magic. Now he just needs to figure out how to actually control it.
And this is huge for him emotionally. He says, I won't be a curse anymore. I will protect my family. He's finally overcoming that awful trauma of being labeled a quote-unquote curse back on Earth, where his own relatives blamed him for his family's deaths. So he returns home proudly carrying this heavy wolf meat for a very grateful Liz. He absolutely refuses to be a burden ever again. From now on, he is going to be their provider.
All right, let's look at Section 4, Defending the Family.
So to better protect his family, Jui Wan accepts an apprenticeship from this mysterious, hooded old hunter named Gus. See, Gus noticed that perfectly healed bite mark and instantly knew Jui Wan was some kind of untapped mage. Gus starts teaching him the ropes, forest survival lessons like walking patterns to leave a confusing trail, differentiating trees just by touch, mapping and navigating the forest, and of course, some really intense archery form training. But while Jui Wan is deep in the forest leveling up his skills, some terrible trouble is brewing back home.
The robbers attack. 3 violent villagers actually break into the cabin to steal that valuable wolf meat and pelt. These guys used to run with Liz's abusive ex-husband, and they just brutally knock her to the ground. And it gets worse. As they pack up the stolen goods, they're just casually discussing burning the whole cabin to the ground to hide the evidence, and they are completely unaware that little Dorothy is terrified, hiding right there under the bed. But Ju-hwan hears the commotion. He rushes home and literally goes into a full berserker rage to defend his family. He unleashes this brutal, animalistic beatdown. I'm talking knocking one guy out completely cold, shattering another guy's nose, and nearly snapping the arm of the third. It's intense. He only stops when Gus intervenes and warns him, basically saying, hey, killing them will just get you arrested or thrown right back into slavery.
After the dust settles, Ju-hwan is mortified. He's so terrified that Liz and Dorothy are going to look at him like he's a monster now. But instead of being afraid of his violence, they feel overwhelmingly safe. Dorothy, who was literally too scared to even move just a minute ago, runs out, throws her arms around him, and yells, "Daddy," for the very first time. I mean, wow, right? It completely cements this incredible family bond.
Okay, moving to our final part, Section 5, the hidden threats.
So, peace kind of seems restored, especially as Ju-hwan uses his newfound healing magic to completely erase Liz's bruises. But dark forces are definitely watching from the shadows. There are some major hidden agendas here. The twisted reality is that both Hunter Gus and the Grady Village Chief have figured out Ju-hwan has this rare healing magic, and they are both secretly plotting to exploit him. Gus basically wants to use Ju-hwan as a weapon to get some violent revenge on local goblins. Meanwhile, the chief, he realizes a healer slave is worth an absolute fortune, so he's planning to sell him off to some wealthy nobles.
And meanwhile, completely and blissfully unaware of these sinister schemes, Ju-hwan is just out there cheerfully hunting rabbits. He's just so happy that Liz is smiling, Dorothy is eating well, and he finally has the family he always dreamed of on those incredibly lonely Christmas Eves back on Earth.
Which leaves us with a pretty massive question to end our explainer today. With enemies closing in from all sides, will Ju-hwan's newfound magic actually be enough to save his family? I mean, with a cunning village chief looking to sell him and a vengeful hunter leading him deeper and deeper into danger, will his raw, totally untrained magic be enough when the trap finally springs? Ju-hwan's desperate fight to protect his family is really only just beginning. So, what do you guys think will happen next? Thanks for joining me today, and definitely stay tuned to see how he survives this crazy world.